You're listening to They Shoot Films with Ken Mercer and F.T. Kosempa.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of They Shoot Films, the podcast where we talk about the films that matter. My name is Ken Mercer, and I'm joined here, as always, by the great F.T. Kosempa. F.T., how are you today?
I am swell. How are you today, Ken?
I am exuberant. I'm over the moon, as they say.
Why did they say that? Or why, rather, why are you over the moon and exuberation?
Well, today is the big day that only comes once every year, and the mailman showed up today carrying my Directors Guild of Association annual pension plan statement.
Yes?
Yes.
Nice.
And it's every time it's one step closer to retirement, and I thought, we have a policy here at They Shoot Films, FT. If you remember, it is our honesty is the best policy. Do you remember that one?
I think so.
And therefore, I don't know. Do you think I should read my statement on air, or is that really? Am I right to not share that, to keep that a secret from the audience? And we never keep secrets from our audience.
It's a hard one, but that's financial stuff, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know. I think you should.
I should.
Full disclosure.
On air. No.
Full disclosure.
You think I should?
No, I don't think you should.
I think I should, because
okay, then I don't think.
We don't keep secrets from the audience.
Yes, we do.
So I do have it here. I will open it up. Maybe Anne Marie
Make
can
some
feed
sounds.
in a drum roll, please, if we've got one.
We have one somewhere.
Okay, here we are. Yes, this is from the DGA Producer Pension and Health Plans. 5055 Wilshire Boulevard, Suite 600, Los Angeles, California, 936. I guess I'm stalling here. I'm afraid we'll lose the audience if they think I'm some rich big shot.
Wig.
Okay, here we are.
Yeah,
Balance on December 31st, 2025.
Yes. Right.
Fully vested.
Yes.
Okay. $321.92.
Nice. Oh, man.
Pretty close to retirement.
That's a lot, buddy.
Between this and the podcast income, I'm almost ready for retirement, I think.
Oh, I have been retired on podcast income since the get-go. Yes. Wow. $300. I wish I had $300.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? What? No, you do.
I would have to cash out to get that, which I obviously can do.
That's what they all say.
Fully vested.
Yes, you could.
We are here
Where?
On this day where I'm already walking on air over the moon to talk about the 2001 film directed by Sean Penn, starring Jack Nicholson, The Pledge.
Yes.
So, FT, this is we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to unpack here, but I thought I'd start you off with an easy one.
Okay.
Ease you into it. This is the second film on They Shoot Films that was shot in Reno, Nevada. Well, again, both films, obviously, but set in Reno, Nevada, I should say. What was the first one we did here on They Shoot Films?
I forget. Wasn't that that gambling one with
yes,
Philip Baker Hall?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, this is good, FT. What is it?
And
directed by
PT,
Paul Thomas Anderson.
And
the name of the film is?
Oh, my God.
Drum roll, please.
Hard 7.5.98. Hard 8.
You're on it, FT.
Oh, man. And that was unprepared, folks. He didn't leak that one.
People have written in to ask.
No, they haven't. But
why people have written in to ask, why is FT referred to as the great FT?
Yeah, me too. I think I wrote that in.
You just found out why. You just seen it in real time.
It's unbelievable.
What makes him so great.
Yes, thank you. Wish I had a pension.
Well, someday, if the podcast
someday,
keeps
if you're
growing,
a good boy,
well, if the podcast keeps growing, we will have a full retirement and
you hear that out there, people.
Yes. In fact, some of us, like Anne Marie and myself, do. But someday you will qualify to be included in the benefits program here, FT.
Yes.
So we said directed by Sean Penn. It is,
Yes.
I believe, the third film directed by Sean Penn. Is that accurate, FT?
Correct. Yep.
And he did a fourth. What was that one called?
Into the Wilderness, which I didn't get to see.
Into the Wild.
Into the Wild, but
starring
he did a couple more after that.
Oh, he did?
Yes. Yeah, Flag Day and something else.
Okay. Good
which
knowledge.
were weak, but yeah, it's too bad. This is the first one he did not write as well. The first two was written and directed. It was Auteurland.
Yeah, and he a guy I knew from advertising was his writing partner.
Oh, really?
He and Robin Wright Penn, which I always thought it was a coincidence that he finds someone to marry who has the same last name as him. He and Robin Wright Penn moved to, when I was living in Marin County, they both moved to Marin County to a town called Ross. And they had moved there from L.A. And what was curious is the house they purchased, a very expensive house, and probably they could have bought an even more expensive house, was right on this super busy road that connects the town. So it would not be a location I would pick. But apparently they picked it because the house was on this main drag directly across the road from the police station. And it's because they had recently, and I think that's what prompted the move to Marin County. They had been carjacked, or Robin had been carjacked.
What, in L.A.?
With the kids in the car.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah, so they moved to Marin County, and to be even more cautious about it, directly across from the police station. I'd like to begin our discussion of the pledge with a couple of quotes about the pledge, if I might, FT.
You may.
This is from Rotten Tomatoes. It's from a anonymous audience member reviewing the pledge. Quote, "This was the most terrible movie I've ever seen. It ruined my day. I can't even express myself fully. Horrible. I think it was well made, I guess. But I'm never watching it again, and I will never recommend this to anyone, parentheses, unless they want to be depressed for the rest of the day."
Just a day, not the rest of their life? That's pretty late. Yeah, And that's from whom?
Anonymous reviewer on Rotten Tomatoes.
And there's no number. It's just, it's not a name. It's just, all right, anonymous viewer number 99.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's the other one?
Oh, it's also another audience member from
The Roddies?
From Rotten Tomatoes, and this one is very brief. This one is, "This film is so fucking slept on." In other words, saying, this film needs to be better known and appreciated.
Was the word slept on, like nodding, sleeping?
That's the parlance of our time, FT. It's like 4:20. People know what's going on.
Snoozing.
People say, well, don't sleep on it. So they're making the point that this film deserves to be better known, better appreciated. Where do you sit on this one, FT? Which side of the Rotten Tomatoes divide are you on? Or do you have a foot on both camps?
No, I don't. I think it should be seen. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to go further than that, if I might. I think this is a great film. Underappreciated great film. It is flawed, as most great films, as most great works of art are. It's interesting. Roger Ebert, he reviewed it when it came out, and he gave it a pretty good review. But he felt it necessary later in his life to go back and re-review it and give it his highest rating and put it. He has Roger Ebert, while he was alive, had a category. He had a thing called great films, which he would select films which he felt were great, and not just current films.
Yes.
He would go back films from the 60s. These were the great films from Roger Ebert, one of our greatest film critics, and he added The Pledge, a movie that is kind of not known by most people as as one of his great films, and I think he was correct in doing that.
Me too. I like how you put that. He has a category called Great Films, which contains, there was a pause, great films. Yes.
What? Sorry, FT. I think that's what made him a great critic.
That he was.
You know, if they shoot films, if we came out with a category like on the website, great films, it would be the.
We'd get sued if they were great films.
Right. But they probably wouldn't be great films because it would be too obvious to put great films in a great films category.
Yeah,
for you.
right. That's stupid.
The film bombed at the box office, and I think there's a reason for that, and the reason for that is going to be central to our discussion in this podcast, in that the film is designed to subvert audience expectations. It deliberately doesn't give the audience what they want, and people like to get what they want. And usually in film, especially in Hollywood films, we give the audience what they want because we want the audience to be happy. We want the word of mouth. And in this case, the filmmakers chose to go the opposite way to make a point about, I think, about art, about cinema, but also about how the world works.
Yes, I agree.
I came up. I'm not a philosopher per se. But I was working on a phrase to try to encapsulate. I think this notion we're talking about, and it goes like this: you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you just might find you get what you need. But what's interesting about this film, the protagonist does not even get what he needs.
Right.
It's even bleaker than that. And again, This gets back to, as we'll discover, the vision, the world view of the original creator of the source material, one Friedrich Dürrenmatt, and we're going to get into that. Maybe we should let's hold off for a second before we get into that. FT. Please describe in one line what this film is about.
No,
FT, you're under contract here.
Jesus, I hate when you do this.
Just go.
One line. Is it a big line or a line? It is an attempt.
When you work in Hollywood, you go and pitch movie ideas. You got to have a one line. You got to have your elevator pitch, your one line thing.
Yeah, but a one line has to be thought through. I mean, forget it. What's your one line? It's just like
what's okay.
It's a story. It's a story of making a promise and not being able to fulfill it. That's one way of putting it. What is the one line description? What is the pitch
of the pledge?
Of the pledge, yes.
A film about retirement. Sorry, as you said before, I'm a reductivist. And
the show.
Sorry, side note here. That was meant as a joke. But what's actually funny here, since we're talking about Roger Ebert,
yes,
I'm a big fan of Roger Ebert in general. His revised review that made it a great film, I think, was a misreading of the film because basically it was about. That it was about Jerry's struggles with retirement, that he couldn't retire, therefore he was driven.
You're kidding.
No, and I think that misses the point.
Oh,
yeah. But I was making that as a joke. But I am, as you know, a reductivist. So that is the when I say it's a film about retirement, ask me something else. Ask me what Moby Dick is about in one line.
What's Moby Dick about in one line, Ken?
It's a
whale.
A whale, exactly.
It's a whale of a story. Yes.
To get into this thing about the source material and one Friedrich Dürrenmatt, why don't we begin at the beginning? I know, FT, one of the things you've said you like most about me is when I take us through the origins of these films.
It's not what I like most about you. It's what I like about the show. I think it's a fascinating feature of the show.
Well, no, I culled that from your email that you sent for Anne-Marie, why you can't work with Ken anymore and what you don't like about him. And then at the end it was, I do like when he talks about...
like the origin stories on the other hand, the other stuff.
Should we dive into the origins?
Dive.
And warning for those listening to this podcast, the origins, really, helped unlock this film. And I've seen this film, I don't know, 2, 3. It is a grower. As they, I think the first time you see this film,
as they say,
I was going to say a shower, not a grower, not a shower, but that's different. It rewards multiple viewings, but more than that, even after my latest viewing, it was only after I really sat with the film and really concentrated on it and dug around in Dürrenmatt and started reading the novella that it really started to fully reveal itself. So hopefully this podcast will be illuminating, but we are going to kind of dig into these things. It's not going to be a scene-by-scene analysis of the film or even discussing the acting, but really trying to unpack what the hell this thing is about and why is the ending the way it is. But why don't we start at the origin story, which is a story about two friends, one named Jack, and one
named Sean.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jack Nicholson and Sean Penn were buddies, and they had already done a film together that Sean had directed called The Crossing Guard.
Yep.
And they developed this project. They took it around. It was a passion project, as they say in Hollywood, which is usually a term for a project that
gonna suck.
Yeah, will not make money.
Right.
And so they took it around, as is often the case with passion projects in Hollywood. Even with Jack Nicholson, even with Sean Penn, every studio turned it down.
Huh.
Yes. But then again, they did not, unfortunately, have FT's one-line pitch, which might have pushed it up.
It's a story about a guy.
Pushed it over the top.
You suck. Lemons.
And there was a gentleman, probably still is, I'm not sure if he's
still a gentleman.
I don't know. We're not going to research it. Eli Samaha, you might have seen that on some credits over the years. He ran a company called Franchise Pictures, which was an independent, and he bought the project on one condition, and that condition was both Jack Nicholson, obviously one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, and Sean Penn, obviously a big name, if they would both work for significantly majorly reduced fees, he would finance the project. And they said yes on one. Sorry, Sean and Jack said yes on one condition, and that condition was Sean Penn will have complete creative control on this project, which Eli Samaha agreed to, full well knowing that he could renege on that at any point.
No way, right?
Yeah,
no problem. Yeah.
And Eli Samaha went and got a co-financier, a German company, as it turns out, and as we'll talk about in a minute, or you may have guessed, Friedrich Dürrenmatt, the author of the source material, was a German language writer. So they signed up a German production company, and then Eli Samaha proceeded to, according to the court case, defraud the German production company by submitting inflated invoices and costs. And
Jesus.
He reported to the German production co that the budget, that the cost for the pledge was $55 million.
What was it, like 20?
It was 37, and that was probably even padded. And there were all kinds of fabricated. And again, there's a court case on that, to the tune that that the German production company won in court a $77 million judgment, which wiped out Franchise Pictures.
What? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Long way of saying, as you guessed, this might have caused some problems for the production. There were scenes that were in the script that never got filmed that apparently would have really added filled in some of the holes of the script, filled the movie out. The actor Tom Noonan talked a lot about how his part was significantly reduced, and he felt in a way that really made his part not make sense. Now, Tom Noonan played the wizard, the killer who we... no, sorry, that was wrong.
No, he played Gary. He did not play the wizard.
Yeah, thanks, FT. Tom Noonan played the preacher, the one who Jerry Black, the character, thought was the killer.
Yes.
And it was a red herring.
You don't run this whole place yourself, do you?
Are you a religious man, Mr. Black?
Baptized, but I'm not church-going.
You got a wife?
Two-time loser. What about you, man?
My son, Gary, is the true gift of the Lord. He dotes on me hand and foot, he does. The hardest working boy you ever saw. Works construction all summer. Runs the snowplow for the county in the winter. And ministers at our church.
And, what about him? Does he have a family, kids?
No wife, no kids, no little ones. I pray every day he'll find a woman good enough for him. The Lord hasn't come through yet.
Sean Penn did something interesting there in terms of this red herring thing.
In a fishing story.
What's that?
A red herring in a fishing story.
Yeah, a good. Yes, yeah,
good one.
Good one, FT. But the red herring was Tom Noonan had played a serial killer in a previous film.
Right.
FT, second question of the day for you, and you're on a roll. Don't blow it. What serial killer had Tom Noonan previously played?
It's the prequel to Silence of the Lambs. What the hell is that movie?
Wow, you were
right?
on fire, FT. Yes,
Right,
it was
right,
called
right.
Manhunter, directed
Manhunter.
by Michael Mann, and Tom Noonan played the serial killer
the
Francis
weirdo. Yeah.
Dollarhide.
Francis.
So nice subtle thing there. Not only does he do the classic thing of a lot of mystery movies where it's got to be that guy, and of course it's not, but it was really well set up since Noonan kind of looks like a serial killer and had played a serial killer. So
Yes.
nicely done by Mr. Sean Penn, I think.
Yes. Little obvious, but as a red herring, in my opinion, but
Yes.
especially he's a mama's boy. Remember, what a gift to my,
Yeah. Yes. The Pledge, which came out in 2001, had been done 4 previous times.
As a film.
Yeah, it was once a TV show and 3 other times as films.
Huh.
So this is the 4th time this story was made into a film, and I think a lot of the things we're going to be talking about here that make this story again repellent to audiences makes it very attractive to filmmakers, or obviously has made it attractive to filmmakers over the years. It was based on a novella by Friedrich Dürrenmatt, and Dürrenmatt was a Swiss dramatist, novelist, essayist, not so well known in English-speaking countries. In Europe and in German-speaking countries, he's a giant. Big name. He was in terms of epic theater. It was him and Bertolt Brecht. Yeah, he was and is a serious dude once you get outside of English-speaking countries.
Once you get inside a German-speaking country.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
sorry. You should set this up. It was confusing to me. So Dürrenmatt was Swiss.
Yes.
Yet he wrote in German. And me being ignorant before the show, I was talking to FT, and I assumed that in Switzerland they spoke Swiss, just like I would assume in Roger Ebert's great films there would be great films. But alas, in Switzerland they do not speak Swiss. So enlighten people, FT, please, because you know about
Yes, Switzerland. There are 3 official languages: German, Italian, and French.
See, that just blows
It's the
my
3 colors of some flag.
That just blows my
Yeah, you imagine
my
it?
mind, because after thousands of years of civilization, all Switzerland came up with was the cuckoo clock. Why couldn't they come up with their own language? Sorry, that was a third man quote for those out there paying attention.
That was a third man quote.
Yes.
Yeah, was the third man or the stranger?
Yes, it's Orson Welles.
Yeah,
Harry,
I thought it was a stranger.
Harry
but,
Lime,
Harry
after,
Lime, right? The cuckoo
the big
clock.
monologue.
Right.
Yes. But why don't they have their own? Why don't they have their own language, Frank?
I don't know. Why don't we?
I thought we did. I thought we had a love language.
The language of the stars. Yes.
So Dürrenmatt, coming back coming back to him,
to the Swissdeutsch,
the Swiss who spoke German, as we will refer to him. Again, he developed epic theater, but he also developed a very specific form of tragedy, and also a very specific notion of how drama should be resolved, which is so important to The Pledge, and we're going to be talking about that when we get to the ending. But his notion of tragedy, which also is so important to the film, The Pledge, he kind of rejected the idea of classical tragedy, and again, Dürrenmatt wrote this in 1957, I think, and his career all came after World War II, so significantly influenced by the Holocaust. He had visited Auschwitz, Hiroshima, and he felt classical tragedy no longer made sense in the world. He felt that the modern world had become too absurd for classical tragedy.
Huh.
Here's a quote about Dürrenmatt and his view on tragedy. In contrast to Aristophanes, however, there is no celebration at the end of Dürrenmatt's dramas. Rather, they all end with the worst possible turn of events and thus negate the happy ending of Aristophanic action. And certainly that could have been your one-liner to describe The Pledge.
And yours as well.
No, mine's a film about retirement.
Yes.
FT.
Yes.
Did the novel come first that Dürrenmatt wrote, or and then was turned into the first of the four previous films? Is that correct in your knowledge of this thing?
I don't know anything about it, but you know what? From the way you're being a little cagey here,
yes,
I have a funny feeling that the novel came later.
You're right.
Am I?
Yes. Very good read of my caginess. It originally started, Dürrenmatt was a co-screenwriter. I think he would have preferred to be the primary screenwriter, but was the co-screenwriter on a film that was about child predators.
Huh.
And
in Deutschland?
it was German language. It was
right.
a German language film. Yes, I'm going to assume it was a German film. And Dürrenmatt fought with the producer, the screenwriters, and hated it because it did have an ending. Unlike the film we're looking at today, the first film had a happy ending where the child predator is caught by the detective. And Dürrenmatt hated that. He felt, he couldn't reconcile these happy endings with a world that would produce the Holocaust or Hiroshima.
Wait a second. When was this film made, buddy?
This film was made in 1937.
Right. Okay. So there's no Hiroshima.
No, only kidding. It was 1957, after the Holocaust. Is that what you're getting? Yeah.
Right,
you were concerned that it was pre-Holocaust or something?
Yes. I didn't know. You didn't say when it was made. I just had a vibe that it was made earlier, way earlier.
No, it was like 1957. And so Dürrenmatt felt that a world that could produce the Holocaust, that could produce Hiroshima, is not a world where killers are always caught so neatly. And it drove him to sit down and write the novel of the film that had just been made that ended the way he wanted it to end. But he also had a specific bone to pick. Like a lot of dogs do. And that is he hated detective fiction because of that. That in detective fiction, it's always this puzzle and the detective solves the crime at the end, which again, he said, is not the way crime works. And he felt that usually in crime, when detectives do solve cases, it's not because of it's because the killer basically makes a mistake, or which is really true. It's not.
Yes.
And so it's interesting that the original title for his novel, The Pledge, has a subtitle. Do you know what it is, FT?
I do.
You do? Okay, good man. Go for it. What is it, sir?
Requiem for a Detective story or something like that, right?
Yes.
The death mass.
Yes. So the title of the novel is The Pledge, Requiem for the detective novel.
Right.
And the whole frame, the book has a framing device that Penn dispensed of for the film, and it's basically a detective, a writer of a mystery writer goes to a conference, and in the audience is a retired chief of police. Again, this is set in Europe, so they've got different titles, and the chief offers to give him a ride back home, and in the course of that, takes him to a gas station on a mountain road. And at that gas station on this mountain road is the best detective that had ever worked for him, who is now basically a broken down man, like we find Jerry at the end of this film.
And the beginning.
And then he relates, and again, through this framing device, relates the case of the child predator and how the detective felt like the wrong person had confessed, much like what's in the film now. And due to fate, due to chance, he did not solve the crime and was basically destroyed by that.
Huh.
But Dürrenmatt felt like, again, detective fiction. I actually have a quote from Dürrenmatt himself here. I'll let him have the final word here. Or actually, you can have the final word, FT, but I'll give Dürrenmatt the first word. Quote, "You set up your stories," again, here is speaking about detective fiction and his beef with it. Quote, "You set up your stories logically, like a chess game. Here's the criminal. There's the victim. Here's an accomplice. There's a beneficiary. And all the detective needs to know is the rules. He replays the moves of the game and checkmate. The criminal is caught and justice has triumphed. This fantasy drives me crazy."
He's right.
What do you mean he's right?
It drives me crazy too, about the genre.
It
There's too many unsolved crimes in reality.
Yeah. It does not drive me.
I know it does.
Again,
it should.
That's what I like about genre. Rules and how you play with them. But Dürrenmatt was not. Well, he does play with them, but he smashes them at the end of this film, which again is, I think, the repellent to audiences. But I think what is so attractive to directors and screenwriters
and realists,
you just said, I mean, Sean Penn was attracted to that.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson was attracted to this, and for you, I think you would be much more interested in directing this than you would a more standard detective novel. Although I think you would do a very good Miss Marple mystery, or I think you'd be good at directing an episode of Murder, She Wrote.
Me too, man. Columbia, Chinatown.
So Dürrenmatt felt that life, and we're going to get into this more at the end, life is governed by chance and external variables. And clearly that's what he delivers at the denouement. Denouement? How do you say it?
Denouement.
At the denouement of The Pledge.
Yes, he does. What'd you say, chance and what? And external factors?
Yeah, chance and external factors intervening. And we're going to get specifically into this because he had a whole theory about this that kind of was his trademark. Teaser, I'll just set up now. It's called the Einfall. And we'll get into the Einfall when we discuss the ending, if we
get that far.
Yeah. if we live that long. I'd like to just veer off for a second, though, and discuss the novel and the film, because I think, again, when we talk about genres and subversions of genres, this film uses a lot of significant archetypes from both literature and films, and it's built on them. And again, I think that's what makes the ending so subversive. Can you pick out any of those archetypes? Well, I'll kick it off.
No.
The archetype is the reluctant hero, and can you think of any genres that
who's the reluctant hero?
Jerry.
The reluctant hero.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess I'll just spell it out a little bit. Westerns. It's such a so many classic westerns are built on the the protagonist is retiring to his ranch, to his farm, hanging up his spurs, hanging up his guns, and then there's trouble. And the heroes called
come out of retirement and all that.
Come out of retirement. In the Western film, usually justice is served, right? Or always.
Yeah, often, yes.
But in this case, Jerry is denied even that. He's pulled out of retirement. He destroys his life, and justice is not served.
He doesn't know whether justice is served or not, more precisely.
Yes. There's another crime film, also starring Jack Nicholson, that I thought we should touch on. Also, by the way, a subject of a special 2-part episode of They Shoot Films, which, if you haven't heard it, I think is worth listening to. FT, do you know which film of which I speak?
I said it before. Chinatown.
What?
Yes.
Chinatown. Yes, also with Jack Nicholson. Yes. I think is worth talking about for a second here. But first, I want to read another quote that I think a comment that I really felt won the internet, and this was on Reddit. This was, I will give credit where credit is due. This is from TonyToon15 on Reddit.
Okay.
And his comment about this film, The Pledge, which could have been a really good, your good one-liner, I think, for the film, FT, if you were.
If I cheated and looked it up.
So here was TonyToon15's comment about The Pledge. He said, "Forget it, Jake. It's The Pledge." That was pretty good, isn't it?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Yes. Do you care to talk about any of the parallels you see between Chinatown and this film, other than they both star Jack Nicholson?
Well, I mean, they both have, a down ending. I mean, they both do not,
right.
They don't have the happy endings. That's all.
Okay.
The criminal's not caught. The criminal gets away with it.
Well, you skipped over something. They're both detectives. They're both investigators.
Yes.
And they both have unhappy endings.
Yes.
So I think you nailed that one.
And the difference is that Noah Cross gets away with it, though. You know what I mean? And the murderer here does not, but slightly, It's not prevented. The child is not saved.
Yes. Yes. I think there is a difference in, it's interesting. We talked about how Dürrenmatt wrote this coming out of the World War II experience and was shaped by that. As we've talked about in that Chinatown podcast, Chinatown came out of the post-Watergate era, the society where, all the institutions seem corrupted, and I think that's where the difference here lies between Chinatown and The Pledge. Chinatown, the character Jake Gitz fails. It works the same way. Both of these detectives, Jake Gittis, as he's sometimes called, and Jerry Black, both solve the crimes. They both do what they're supposed to do as detective, yet at the final turn of the card, they both lose in tragic ways. But Jake Gitz is defeated by power, the power of Noah Cross, the corrupt power. Again, the reflection of this corrupt power of Watergate institutions. Whereas in The Pledge, Jerry he solves the case, and then he's destroyed purely by chance.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting, I think.
It is.
But that's just me. I'm a simple man. Simple taste.
Yes. Lollipops.
We talked about chance already.
We did?
Yes, we brought up chance.
We mentioned it, yes.
But there's another word I'd like to bring up here, and then I'd like to ask you a question.
Okay.
And the other word I'm going to bring up now is obsession.
Yes.
Dürrenmatt has said, this film is about chance. That's the theme.
Yes.
I was thinking, no, it's really not. It's about obsession. My question for you, FT, the man who plays 5D chess, the man who
shut up,
the man who can spot a filmic reference at 1,000 paces and shrug it off. Is this movie about obsession or is it about chance?
It's both. See, don't be a reductionist. It's an obsessive element and there's a chance element in it as well. What's the puzzle?
Okay, but if I forced you to pick, no,
I won't
no,
do it.
I'm not going to. Right?
Yeah.
No, I think you're correct. But again, this is why you're ahead of me, because I was like, well, I think it's more about. I was ready to come in and say this is another film about obsession. It's like Vertigo, this whole.
And it is.
Yeah. Well, but I think you nailed it right there. I think it's both about obsession and chance. And they pay off each other. The obsession pays off chance. So, do you care to talk more about that?
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, obsession pays off chance. I don't get it. I don't get it. They sort of, they clash. They come up against each other.
Well, no,
I don't know what words you're using here.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. These are
let me try
these
to
are
wander.
vague general terms.
Yeah, let me try to wander through this. Then, bear with me, okay?
Yeah. All right.
And it gets back to this notion of classical tragedy, and again I always use a very shorthand definition of tragedy, which you often push back on, but it's good to save
just
on.
Repeat
good
it.
to save on. Good to save on airtime. Good to save on recording costs.
Brain power.
Tape. My shorthand from Aristotle.
Sad endings.
Is tragedy is when the protagonist brings about his own downfall through his actions. And again, there's facet, there's details and facets. So if chance is what destroyed Jerry, he's just a victim. And Aristotle did say victims are not tragic heroes, that a tragic hero has to have agency. Again, they have to bring about their own downfall. So again, it may be obvious here, but it's Jerry's obsession that sets the stage for his downfall, but it only sets the stage for it because if his obsession all along, if that killer at the end had not been hit by a locking truck, then we wouldn't have tragedy.
Well, you don't know that, actually.
Okay. Expand,
we don't know that.
We don't know. We don't know what.
Well, we don't know what would happen if that vehicle, was
sorry.
made it there.
Sorry. If again, Jerry's obsession.
Yes.
And he'd set it up with the SWAT team.
Yes.
And then if the killer had shown up, if the killer was caught, then it would no longer be a tragedy. So again, that obsession dimension is not really what completes the it sets it up for the payload, which is chance. And, again, looking at some other examples of obsession, and here's a close one, because Oedipus, his determination to learn the truth is what destroys him, much like Jerry. And in fact, Oedipus, while he doesn't purely go mad, he goes pretty close to it, as most people who tear out their own eyes are.
He goes ad. But you know what? There's a problem here. Okay. That Jerry's not just a victim, by this. It's a good reading. It's a good reading. It's a good reading.
That's what I'm saying.
He does bring about his own downfall. You ready?
Why?
Okay. No. Are you ready for this now?
Yeah. If there's only chance, that's what I'm arguing against. He does bring about his own downfall, but it's not because of obsession. It's because of chance, which is basically
it is because of obsession.
Okay, go ahead.
And the reason is that he fails to do one thing. He fails to get consent.
Oh no! No. Yes, that
he fails to get consent.
Yeah. Yes.
For the stakeout, for using for the bait. Having the little kid get bait, and that's his downfall. It's his error.
Right. Well, how would Aristotle talk about that? There's a term that Aristotle uses for exactly what Jerry does, what a tragic hero does.
What is that?
Hamartia.
Hamartia. Yeah.
No, hamartia, right?
No, you say hamartia. I do. Yeah, is that what that is?
I say hamartia. And again, I knew a lot of Greeks back in New Jersey. So, define hamartia or hamartia.
No, you do. I don't know. I can't. Give me a definition. Give me an H.
Hamartia was Aristotle. I believe. Again, when he defined tragedy. The tragic hero has to be virtuous, but they have to have a fatal flaw that leads to their downfall. And in fact, it's where they miss their mark. And you're correct. Jerry, when he uses Chrissy as bait, and we're going to talk about that later, so let's not get too far into using Chrissy as bait. As you said, that's where he creates his downfall.
Right.
Yeah.
Specifically, with the hang-up of consent.
Yeah. Well, it goes. From my reading of the film, FT, it goes beyond consent, because my reading of the film is the relationship with Laurie. While it's very good, she's an attractive woman. She becomes more attractive as it turns out. It's all about getting close to Laurie. It's all in aid of his plan to put a girl out there as bait.
There's no, you can't argue that.
I do argue
evidence.
it.
You can say it, but you can't argue it. I mean, what?
Actually, I think it might be better supported by the novel, but it is my reading of it. I can't say it for
it's
certain.
Not in the film. I mean, for me, I couldn't see that. That's his only reason. Our main reason.
No, not yet.
I don't know. I said main reason, not only main reason.
Well, think about what comes.
No,
before.
I don't need to. I mean, I hear you. You said it. There's there's no evidence in there for it.
Well, I think there is, but you're not allowing me to state it. I think you're acting very defensive.
Yeah.
All right, let's think about this.
No, you say it. I don't want to think about it.
Okay. In terms of Jerry's journey.
Yes.
I mean, it's really pretty dead simple. What is Jerry's objective?
I don't know.
To catch the killer.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's so clear.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
right. The catch.
Right. Okay, and we follow this journey, gathering clues, but early on, close to the end of the first act, what is the big action he takes in terms of catching the killer?
I don't know. He buys a gas station to place himself in a triangulation.
Yes, he triangulates where all the murders are, and he deduces that there's only one road that links all these things. And he sees the gas station. He's like, I'm going to buy this, offer a ridiculous price, because if I buy this gas station, then I can be watching this road. But clearly the next step in that plan, instead of just watching a road, if he can put out a blonde girl in a red outfit on that road, that's the next step in his plan. That's my argument, FT.
Even though he doesn't court her, but he, okay, I can see that.
Boy. Nice picture.
Thank you.
Aren't you going to finish your orange juice?
Mommy?
Oh, hi, officer.
Hi.
It's okay, hon. He's a friend. Pack up, because the bus is coming. Want coffee?
Yes, please. And what name would a pretty little girl like you have?
Chrissy.
Huh. Nice.
Okay, love bug, this is it. Come on. Have a good day.
Beautiful little girl.
Oh, thank you.
How old is she?
She'll be 8 next month. It's first day of school is always a biggie, Oh, I forgot coffee.
Thank you.
I found it creepy in the diner, though, when he was approaching the little girl goes, "Mommy."
Right. Yes.
Yes.
So again, the dramatic vehicle is obsession. Jerry devotes everything, turns over his life to catch the killer. He stakes everything on it. And then when chance intervenes, it completely devastates him, and he goes mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Chrissy's bait. As long as I've got you saying yeah. Because I think we've set that up. We've talked around it. So Jerry, again, my reading is it's the next step in his plan. He's got the gas station on the road. Now if he can get the girl as bait, why is bait significant, and what is the symbolism for bait in this film? Very, again, too obvious for you, FT.
It's too obvious.
But you got to say it.
No.
Okay.
Something fishy about you, asking me that question.
Yeah, Jerry's a fisherman.
An angler.
So again, the thought of using bait is just
second nature.
Second nature.
It's not chance, though.
Right. Okay.
Right. But anyhow.
So he uses Chrissy as bait, and what's great about this film, like most great films, but especially, again, I watched it the first time, I did like it. I watched it, but it raises a lot of deep issues. A lot of these come from the source material, from the novel, but it brings up an issue, which is, when is it right to do something that's wrong in service of a bigger right?
So that's how you want to frame it. Okay. Well,
you want to reframe it?
Well, it depends. It depends. Okay.
Right.
Utilitarians would say that it depends on the outcome.
Yes.
Right. If the outcome.
Sorry. And again, I don't know philosophy. Is that the same as consequentialism? When you
yes,
say
it is.
Okay.
It's a form of. I was just not. You look it up.
All right.
They would say if it leads to the best possible outcome, right? And if happiness was served. Honestly, it's that simple. Did it lead to the best possible outcome? So, in this case, did it?
No, I don't want to get to
Okay, you don't want to get to that. All right, now.
We're going to get to the film later. We're just talking about this idea.
Okay, all right. Well, then there's another view, which is the Kantian view. Now, according to that, what the Kantians would say, according to the first reading of the categorical imperative, would be, is it, ought one always... Is it okay for someone always to do something wrong in the service of a good end? Okay. Is it right to always do it? And the answer is no.
Okay.
Right?
So,
but wait,
yeah.
Right? Are you clear of what I'm saying? It's a generalizing.
Yeah. No,
take this action and universalize it, right?
Right. So, but let's stick with consequentialism. Is there a problem with it? Do you subscribe to it?
No. Do you?
Sorry, are you saying there's not a problem with it, or are you saying you subscribe?
There's a problem with it. There's a problem.
What's the problem?
Because what do you think of the problem? It's so-called, it's how do you measure, how do you measure the outcome? How do you weigh the, how do you weigh the values of goodness, of a good outcome? Is it a good outcome that the suspect is caught? I mean, is that, and is everything else so-called collateral damage? If families are broken up and all that, and kids are traumatized by an ugly scene,
Well, again, I wanted to keep it more general than specific.
Wait, I know you want to keep it general, but you asked me a question,
right? So you want to get specific. Doesn't it make sense that Jerry is taking a risk, and he doesn't really think he's putting the girl at risk because he's got a SWAT team there. He's done this before ostensibly. And there is some risk there for the girl, but it's in aid of killing a serial killer that has already killed multiple girls and is going to keep killing multiple girls. So isn't that the right moral choice?
No, it's not. Because you can't be. You know why? Okay. Because what this does is it relates to the promise. All right, his promise to do this, which is an attempt to control the future in some way that we can, right? He promises to find the killer, right? Now, can you control the future? I mean, to me, what shocked me is that he made the promise to begin with, because how's he going to know what's going to happen when that guy gets there? I mean, did you get lulled into this? Like, the utilitarians went, oh, it's a good outcome. How do you know?
No, I asked you.
No, how do you know? How did Jerry know?
I think in this case, I don't disagree. Well, let me put it this way: if the film had another ending, and the film had played out, and the killer had showed up, and the SWAT team had said, "Hold it, hands up." And they took him away, and we saw the porcupines.
Right.
Believe me, the audience would have never questioned Jerry's use of the girl as bait. And this happens over and over in films. You think of just off the top of my head.
I agree.
Just let me state a couple of examples. This TV series 24, constantly Jack, the Kiefer Sutherland character, doing horrible things to terrorists, but he keeps saving the world from dirty bombs and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure we could list a million examples, but another one that popped into my head was the Michael Mann movie Heat. The scene where I think it's Michael Madsen. The robbery goes wrong, and Al Pacino's cops roll up, and there's this gunfight, and Michael Madsen grabs a little blonde girl and holds him up in front of her as a shield. Do you remember that, FT?
Yeah, I do. With the escape, with
yeah, and Pacino with the little girl in front of Michael Madsen raises his automatic rifle and takes a shot at Michael Madsen. The bullet hits Michael Madsen in the head. Michael Madsen drops. So again, Michael Mann was pushing it, but still the audience was like, yeah, Pacino's hero there. If it had gone the other way and the girl had been shot in the head, then he's the villain.
Well, Dürrenmatt would have had to go the other way.
What's that?
And then I think it would have been better had he gone the other way. I mean,
right. Dürrenmatt would have gone the other way because he always wants to push.
It would have made the story. Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely would have.
Even though De Niro would be caught at the end and all that, I thought it would have been better had some bad quote unquote collateral damage happen. But anyhow,
let's pause for a thought experiment. Which is my favorite. My favorite.
We should have music for this.
Yeah, okay. Anne-Marie, put in our thought experiment segment music. This is a famous thought experiment, FT. So you probably already know it since you studied philosophy. It's considered the most famous thought experiment in moral philosophy. Why are you laughing?
I don't probably know it, but whatever. I was never a specialty of mine. I'm just winging it here.
It's the trolley problem. Are you familiar with the trolley problem?
I'm not.
Okay, good. So the trolley problem, again, the most famous thought experiment in moral philosophy.
In the history of the world that FT doesn't know.
No, it won the Academy Award, the Philosophy Award for Thought Experiment of the Year. Okay, so here's the thought experiment.
What year?
I don't know. Here's the thought experiment, and it's relevant to the pledge. It's relevant to this conversation.
And relevant to my life.
Okay, so here is the trolley problem, FT. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, a runaway trolley.
Yes.
Is heading towards 5 people tied to the track.
Okay.
Me can pull a lever to divert it onto a side track.
Yes.
Where only one person is tied. Do you pull the lever? Which seems very relevant to the pledge. And Jerry. It's not funny. Do you pull the lever? You're stalling. Do you pull the lever, FT? Simple question.
I don't know. Let me think here. One person is tied, and so it's all general. It's the same distance. There's no technicalities here.
There's no technicalities.
I pull the lever. Yeah.
You pull the lever.
You don't?
Well, it's just interesting you do that because, again, this has been like since the 60s, and only 1% of respondents say they would pull the lever. High correlation to serial killers, as it turns out. No. Most people say they would pull the lever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah.
So again, coming back to Jerry,
if
it's even more clear-cut. Jerry's not knowingly killing one person. He's, again, risking this girl, but he feels like the risk is worth it, and he can pull it off. He's got a full SWAT team there.
So my point is he can't control the future. I don't care what you're going to say. It's irresponsible. It's a risk. Absolutely. You cannot argue it's a sure thing. That's the problem here. There's that problem, the unpredictability of the future. Then there's a problem of consent. These are the two sticking points. And you don't want to deal with the consent right now, but that's okay. Right. I mean, whatever. Yeah. But you're saying it's a sure thing, and it's not.
Oh, I'm not saying.
And as a cop, you should have known that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a sure.
But see, here's the thing. Wait. The utilitarians would also say this, okay? As I recall. They would say, in the absence of a better plan, see, and this is I'm coming to your aid here, is there a better plan than using a 9-year-old as bait? And when you look at it, what's the better plan? You hope for fingerprints on a button in the next case? To make a reference to the
At which point another
person's dead.
Right?
You know what I mean? You hope for some, lucky thing. There's a chance element that someone catches it and it's thwarted, which has happened. You know what I mean? But those are way more chancy than this one. Which, you know what I mean? So,
yes.
This from the utilitarians or your consequentialists, if this ends up. Now, what happens if this does not have a good outcome?
Let's say if Chrissy got shot by a stray bullet, you're saying?
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If it became a disaster.
That's the problem. So much of these things are based. It's based on the outcome. But I was asking you before, and this is the question we're coming back to from my reading. And again, you're going to illuminate this as a philosopher, as a doctor of philosophy.
I'm not wait, no, that's not true. Don't cut that.
What?
I'm not a doctor of philosophy.
No, but that's what I call you. I think if you was a doctor,
call me a nurse.
I'm a nurse of philosophy.
Yes.
But here's my reading, and again, I came to this and again, what makes it a great film? I hadn't studied this, and as I dug into it, there's like 5 different schools. There's consequentialism, there's the dirty hands theory, there's like all these philosophical theories to deal with this question of is it okay to do something wrong to do a bigger right? But as I read about it, which is interesting, the problem with consequentialism, in other words, yes, I will do this to the girl because it'll save 5 girls, is basically you can use it to excuse almost
anything,
any
action.
Right.
That's right.
Because you can say, oh well, yeah, I'm going to kill these Iranians, but it's going to save.
That's right. I'm going to save the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
But it dovetails with something else, which I did have knowledge of.
Prior knowledge.
I did have prior knowledge of before the film.
Versus cheating, looking it up knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
And that was spurred by Dürrenmatt, the author of The Pledge, the Requiem for the Detective novel, was an acolyte of Kierkegaard, Soren Kierkegaard, a philosopher you probably know, or whenever
I know a bit about.
Philosophers are like, oh, I don't like that one, I don't like this one. Kierkegaard.
There's a good one.
He's a good one for you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we have a lot to talk about here.
Yeah. Oh, geez, you never.
Yeah, well, Kierkegaard. I mean, sorry, as you know, as you would suspect, Dürrenmatt is an existentialist.
Yes.
Probably the only essay of philosophy I had read, and I came to it from a religious inclination, was Kierkegaard's Fear and Trembling. Had you read that, FT?
Well, I forget which one's that one. Is that the Abraham and Isaac?
Yeah, it's Kierkegaard's meditation on the Akida, the story in Genesis, where Abraham is called upon by the Lord to sacrifice his firstborn son.
Yes.
Yes. And in Judaism, it is.
It's a dilemma, right?
Well, it's tough to understand,
Right.
That is the Torah portion that's always read on Yom Kippur, the most holy day of the year, and also a day that is focused on death and dying, and so it's very difficult and has been troublesome to religious scholars. And as I said, Kierkegaard looked at it.
And what did he say? I can tell you.
You can tell me?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
As I recall, I think I'm right in this.
Okay.
The phrase "the night of faith" just popped into my head from, and that is a case where religious faith overrides the moral duty.
Yes, the exact quote from Kierkegaard relating to that is
that it? I mean,
you were very close. Well, you might have. I just have another.
I just
remembered
from
that.
Yeah.
Kierkegaard said it was a teleological suspension of the ethical.
We're right. Where the ethical is not is the sole end in this case. That faith is the end.
Yes. So again, I think Dürrenmatt. His father was a Protestant pastor, and apparently was steeped in Dürrenmatt was steeped in the Bible. So clearly, he would have pondered the Binding of Isaac. Clearly, I think he would have read this Kierkegaard essay, Fear and Trembling.
It's a good one, by the way.
But
really
this is Jerry. This is Jerry in The Pledge. The girl is Isaac. She is being sacrificed to his
faith.
His faith. Well, literally his faith.
Yes.
Think about Jerry. He has pledged on the cross. His religion. He's ostensibly a Christian.
Right.
He has sworn on the cross that he will catch this killer.
It is possible.
There can't be such a devil.
There are such devils.
I want to see my daughter.
I don't think that's a good idea, Mr. Larson. I know what I'm saying might sound cruel, but I think it's better if you don't go to your Jenny now.
Why would it be better for me not to see my daughter? Why would that be better?
Because we hardly dared to look ourselves.
Who did this?
We intend to find out, Mrs. Larson.
Do you promise me that you will?
Yes. Yes, Mrs. Larson, I promise.
By your soul's salvation? Do you swear? By your soul's salvation on this cross, made by the hands of our daughter?
Yes, on my soul's salvation.
He has made a pledge to God, and so therefore, similar to the binding of Isaac, he is going to, he will sacrifice this girl potentially to fulfill his promise
For the salvation of his soul.
Yeah. That's what
the
pledge he makes. Yeah.
That's the pledge he's made. Does he pledge on by, which is an interesting, Patricia Clarkson says that, right? By the salvation of your soul on the cross that this my daughter made. Yes, that's right.
So I think it's interesting. I do think Dürrenmatt had brought in this subliminally, this parallel to.
Is it subliminal or is it actual? You mean the reference to faith transcending morals?
No, to the binding of Isaac. Again, there's so many similarities to what Jerry does with the girl and the binding of Isaac. And again, it's based on this religious devotion and everything else.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I never thought of that. Yeah. Yes.
Well, we talked about the fishing.
Baiting, fishing, right?
Yeah. I think the most significant symbolism lies right in the center of the film, in a significant scene. And the first time I saw it, didn't really register with me, although it was a great scene. Second, third time, great scene, but I was like, what is this? What does this mean? And I think I finally cracked it, although I'll say right up front, FT, this is one of the crackings I do. I think this is the kind of thing I'm going to come up with my take on it, and you're gonna be scoffing.
Okay. Should I pre-scoff?
Yeah, you get it out of the way because I do.
Well, it's ridiculous. I can't believe you're saying this. Okay, next. Go ahead, buddy.
I think you're going to scoff, but I think unless you come up with something better, it's got to stand because. What I'm specifically thinking about, talking about, is the scene with Ginny, the murdered girl's grandmother, played by Vanessa Redgrave.
Yes,
she recounts the Hans Christian Andersen story called The Angel.
Okay,
and you don't put something like that in a film in the center of the film unless you're trying to, you
mean something, right?
Mean something, and I couldn't figure out what it meant. I think I have, and like I said, scoff all you want, but only if you can come up with something better.
Okay.
Here's what I think. Angels recur throughout Dürrenmatt's work. He even had a work, I think it was, I don't know if it was a play or a short story called The Angels, I forget. And also interesting because we were talking about the binding of Isaac before.
Yes.
Angel is significant in that it is the angel who comes down and stops Abraham and says, wait,
yes,
don't do it. But again, there's this story about the angel Vanessa Redgrave talks about. And just to recount, just to kind of talk about the story she tells, the idea is there's an angel that takes dead children, and after they've died, they take the children around to all the places they lived and pick flowers from those places. and then the angel takes them to heaven.
And when they give the flowers to God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
all their favorite
also,
places, by the way, all their favorite places, I believe she says.
Yes. Yeah. And the angel, as it turns out, was previously a murdered children who's basically been transformed through this service, what the angel does to a higher purpose. Here's my read on it, FT, why it's there. And I didn't have the full novel. I read part of the novel. I didn't have the whole thing, and I'm dying to know
I want to read it now.
If this is in Dürrenmatt's novel. Jerry is an angel. And if you don't scoff, he basically is going around to all of Ginny's favorite places, not gathering flowers. He's gathering evidence. And to complete the parallel again, the angel in the story is transformed by suffering, by dying, and is moved upwards to heaven. Jerry is transformed downward. Basically, his work, gathering all these clues, the evidence, his service, and I do clearly he sees, and he might not admit it to you. He might not admit it to Sam Shepard. He basically, well, sorry, I don't have to say. You reminded me. He is on a religious mission. Yes. He swore.
Yes.
So
salvation of his soul. Yep.
Yeah. So he is on this religious mission, and it doesn't transform him. It destroys him.
Yeah, I'm not going to scoff at this.
Thus endeth the symbolism of the angel.
Yes.
We should discuss what killed this film with audiences, and what various commenters on Rotten Tomatoes and Reddit say, the ending, the frustration of the ending, that people say, well, I watched this whole thing, the guy trying to catch the criminal, and then the criminal gets away. What the fuck? My question for you, FT, do you think the ending works?
The ending in the sense that the criminal's not found, yes. That it's not a happy ending, it's not, the suspect is not found. Right, yes, it does work for me. That it frustrates the Hollywood, happy ending bullshit. Yes, it works for me quite well. It makes the movie, in my opinion, interesting.
Yes.
How about you?
I think it works. It's clearly a double-edged sword. It is, as you just pointed out, what elevates this film beyond the
genre,
crime drama. But it's what drives people away from the film.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said so. I mean, people are gonna, they want to see the same thing over and over again. I mean, so you can't.
People want they want resolution. They want closure. They want to believe the world that crime doesn't pay. That
there's a
the protagonist is going to solve the crime.
Right, but for me, this was resolved. It was resolved with an open question. I mean, it was resolved. It was resolved. But not in the usual way.
So right. So paraphrase what you're saying is it was resolved by not being resolved.
No, I didn't say
by
that.
Not having a resolution.
You know who the murderer was. I mean, it was resolved,
right.
And you know why certain things happened. For me, there was resolution. Yes. It wasn't the expected the usual resolution of capturing the suspect, not the criminal, the suspect. Yes.
So the whole, and we teased this at the beginning, or at least I tried to.
Yeah.
This ending comes from a term that Dürrenmatt, he didn't coin it. It's a common word in the German language, and he used the device throughout his work. Do you remember what that word was, FT?
I never knew it, so how can I remember it?
We teased it at the beginning.
I forget. What is it?
Einfall.
Did we tease it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you define Einfall?
Not at all.
Can you translate Einfall?
First I heard of it. No. Did you do the etymology on this too? But anyhow.
Yeah. So if I pushed you to translate it into English, how would you do it?
I don't know German. I can't. I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
And look it up in a big dictionary because I'm sure there's subtleties here.
It is untranslatable. There is no seriously. It's one. Sometimes there's words in one language.
Yeah, of course.
That really there is no parallel in another language.
No simple parallel. Right.
Yeah. So really in English, you can only describe it by using two separate words, and those two separate words are a sudden insight, like a flash of insight, an inspiration,
Right.
combined with a military incursion.
A flash of insight combined with a military incursion? That's wow.
Yes, those are the only parallels.
Huh. Okay.
It's a dramatic device where it's the moment where chance breaks the logical narrative, logical
Right.
moment of causation.
Yes.
And in The Pledge, it's where this logging truck shows out of nowhere and intervenes and breaks the whole logical path of the narrative.
Yes.
And again, this was like Dürrenmatt's thing.
Okay.
But again, this Einfall concept is, again, you have this narrative going along, and all of a sudden chance intervenes.
Yeah.
In almost like a military incursion, like this logging truck coming out of nowhere in The Pledge. I was interested in Einfall because it made me think of a similar device in drama, which was developed by the Greeks. Do you know of which I'm thinking?
I don't know. Isn't there like the turn? No, I don't know. What is it?
Well, so again, this Einfall is this thing coming. It's external. That logging truck was external
Right.
to the story, even though it's Sean Penn.
Right.
We did catch glimpses of logging trucks on this road.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, but basically it was external to the story. Nobody was a logging truck.
Right.
Shows up, changes the whole thing. It's the whole ending.
Right.
In Greek theater, there was this notion of deus ex machina.
Oh, what's that? The God in the machine? I never understood that.
The God in the machine. And it's funny because they're basically mirror image concepts when you think about it. So in Greek theater, Greek drama, deus ex machina, you'd have the play, the drama, and the God would be literally, it would be a literal God that would be brought down into the stage on wires. And that the God would solve the drama, would bring about the resolution.
As a sudden break, like all of a sudden
Oh, yeah.
things are going on, and all of a sudden, boom, a flash.
Yeah, well, forget, not so much about the flash, but it's external. Again, you have the characters in the drama, and then all of a sudden, the God comes down and brings about the resolution. And that's what the Einfall is doing. But they're mirror images, because always in the deus ex machina in Greek drama, the God would come down, resolve things, that the universe is just and things are resolved. Where this Einfall thing, all it does is show the universe is basically indifferent in Dürrenmatt's view, and it delivers disorder. It delivers irresolution. And it basically destroys meaning.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting.
It is.
Okay.
I mean,
On a scale of 1 to 10, where does it come on the
4.
interesting scale? Okay. Well, but I thought it was pretty
but
interesting.
I mean, I don't know the parallel with the Greeks, But what I do know is it is a radical version of like the twist or the sudden turn. When you have the it seems familiar in a way that, somebody's on their way to save something and they get hit by a car. I mean, that
right.
It doesn't seem new. It doesn't seem new to me,
It's life. So you read it in the newspaper.
Well, right. I mean, but he's going to gussy it up with, theoretical stuff. Fine. I hear you. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if he did. I did. I tend to like to gussy things up. Yeah.
Yes.
We should rename our podcast Einfall.
We could.
All right, so I just want to give you a couple of chances here, just for the record. So you're on record already saying, when I asked you about the ending, saying
yes,
you like the ending and had
yes.
no problems with it whatsoever, or do you?
No, what I said was, I like the ending. I like the way it ends.
You like the concept.
I like the concept, the plot ending.
Right.
But the execution. Are you asking this question now?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you have any problems with the ending at all?
Well, my problem with the ending is that one of the things is that, in my opinion, Jack seems to go insane extremely too quickly.
Okay.
He seems to be unable to respond to questions. You think that he's like listening to his headphones, that he's hearing the thing, but he's not. He's hearing the approach of the car, but he just seems to be losing it really fast.
Yes. Okay.
What do you think?
I think what F. Scott Fitzgerald said.
You can't go insane fast enough?
No, that he went insane slowly and then all at once.
Is that what he said?
Well, he said
Something like
he went poor. He became poor. He went broke slowly and then all at once is the Fitzgerald thing.
Correction. Ken was actually trying to paraphrase Hemingway here, not Fitzgerald. Our sincere apology to both authors.
I think you're right. I think that was not handled as well as it could be, and I think the reason that Sean Penn miscalculated in that all the things that bother me about the film, the double exposures of all these double exposure things and stuff, I think Sean Penn was trying to subjectively show that Jerry was his reality was fracturing, and I think Penn felt like that was his setup
awkwardly.
And I felt like the double exposures I just hated aesthetically, and I thought it was a bad choice. And based on what you're saying, I don't think it adequately set up Jerry's
his mental state deterioration.
His deterioration.
Yes.
Again, let's read the story as my reading, which is he had the idea of getting a little girl. He gets the little girl, and then he bonds with her. He bonds with her mother. He's very close to her. Now she's not just bait, and let's assume he's really suffering with the trolley problem, with the moral problem. Can I really risk using this girl as bait? I got to do it. I made the pledge. She's going to be okay. But now he's got Stan. He's got these guys with guns, and he's flipping. He's freaking out. He's going to be very. You're too. He keeps saying you're too close. You're too this, and he does. In the heat, he does lose it. But
so wait. You're saying he's panicking here?
Oh, I think he's under a lot.
Basically, he's panicking because of all the pressure. What I mean?
He's under a lot of pressure. There's heat.
Yeah, because he convinced the cops. He convinced the cops to do this.
Yes,
who were skeptical.
They don't want to be there. Right. They don't want to be there. Right.
Right.
Which you can get to a second. I think we should talk about that. But I think the other problem is there's too much deletion there at the end because it does make you think, which I don't think is the intention, that Jerry went insane on that day at that spot.
Oh, no. It's clearly not, though, because there's, look at the Helen Mirren scene, which is, when he's talking to the therapist.
Yes.
You came to me for help.
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask you some questions?
Shoot.
You recently retired, right?
Yes.
Have you always been a chain smoker?
There can't be such a devil.
You always been a chain smoker?
Yes. There are such devils. Recent.
Do you swear
Are you still sexually active?
by your soul's salvation on this cross,
Are you still sexually active?
made by the hands of our daughter?
Are you still sexually active?
Yes, my soul's salvation.
Does that embarrass you? Have you experienced any sudden fevers, perspiration? Or voices? Do you hear voices?
Are you hearing voices, which is embarrassing and awkward? Do you find yourself suddenly sweating when he's clearly suddenly sweating?
Are you a chain smoker? Yes.
And he goes recently, and that's when the voices start happening, which is, again, awkwardly handled because I didn't know, usually you should have a flash with the past, I didn't know why the voices were coming in, but, it was being set up, he stutters early on when he's presenting the evidence to Sam Shepard. He starts stuttering there.
There is a wizard.
Yeah, right. And these pictures, look at it,
Right.
I mean, so it's sort of set up.
But not perfect.
But not adequately. But but it's not out of the blue. So I don't buy what you're saying there. It got severe really quickly. Yes.
Yeah, I think,
and interestingly, morally, he is on a dilemma here but on the other hand, he is not solely using her as a means to an end. And this, this is what I argued earlier. Well, it's not just he's not just using her as bait, because he also has as an end, two ends. One is to capture the criminal, and the other one is to protect her and to protect all kids.
Right. Yes.
So that lets him off the Kantian hook ethically, in one reading. He's not just solely using her as a means. As we would say, I feel used. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's not.
Yes.
But there is the conflict, and I do hear what you're saying there. Yes.
Since you brought up the Helen Mirren scene, there was something I think really interesting there, and I'm sure Sean Penn was laughing his ass off on it, and Jack. Helen Mirren asks the actor, the great Lothario, Jack Nicholson, are you still sexually active?
Right.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting.
Well, it ties, with Robin Wright. Jack does a really good job when she starts, touching his face. I mean, you see he's awkward.
Well, yeah.
You see he's really.
Well, that is in terms of quote unquote love scenes. I think it's interesting because that is a love scene where he hears her crying in her room.
Yes.
Goes in and ends up having sex with her, which is the exact opposite of me, where usually the woman cries after sex.
Nice one. They just smooch there, but that's a good one. Anyhow, back.
Wait, what do you mean they just smooch there? He takes his hand. She takes his hand and puts it on her breast.
I know. But Sean doesn't have to bother showing sex shit. You know what I mean? Which is great.
I think it's implied. It's implied.
Of course it is. I mean, because she's moves in or she's already moved in. It's Christmas, right? It's Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other problems with the ending?
It's the police, the behavior of the police. What I believe is, even they got talked into this stakeout, and I hear what you're saying about the difficulty of the the environment, the weather, but they seem so impatient to quit.
Right.
It just, and again, that might be Sean's his pacing problem, but you don't get the idea. Stakeouts take time. You're there for the long haul. You get the 6 cups of coffee and all that, at least,
5.
You're waiting. 5. Yeah, get it right, Frank. But they just seem, it's so sudden that, we're sick of it. He's losing it. We're tired of it, even though they agreed to do it, That's what, there's a side problem to this, by the way.
Well, hold on.
All right.
Can we deal with one at a time?
Yeah.
I just don't have the brain to deal with let's deal with one thing at a time. I don't share your problem with that. I think they didn't want to be there. Stan doesn't believe Jerry, and B doesn't want to believe Jerry. If Jerry is right, then Stan
is wrong.
Coerced a false confession and got a suspect killed. So I actually, my problem with it was I couldn't believe that Jerry actually got the SWAT team there.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So we're kind of micro picking the ending. I've got a big problem with the ending.
Okay.
And then we got to wrap it up because it's the ending of this episode is long overdue. I think the ending could have been so much better with more extended parallel action.
Yes.
Setting up
between the car.
Well, no, really, what we need to see is the killer, and it's great for the audience. And it was not, you got to rewatch it. It could have been so much clearer that we're back in the Christmas Land of Christmas shop.
Oh, right, the insert of that. Right. Oh, Jesus.
So again, if it was just better, so parallel action. So what it should have been is Jack and the stakeout is one action, and we keep cross-cutting to the killer, and we don't have to see him.
In the car.
The killer is always seen in shadow or silhouette. Yes. But we're back to the Land of Christmas. Right. We see the porcupine candies.
Yes.
We see the guy, we see him get into a black car. We don't have to, and we're, as an audience, we're like, holy shit, this is the killer.
Oliver.
And he's starting up. And then we're back to Jack and the stakeout, and we're like, okay, the killer's come to the stakeout. What's going to happen next? And set up that tension. And again, you can build the tension to what you were talking about is we see the killer on the way, and Stan is saying, Jerry, we told you we'd be here 2 hours. It's 2 hours. We're out of here. So the audience were saying, oh, we should know he's come.
Right. What do you make of Oliver? Is Oliver, when the woman in the land of Christmas goes...
You mean I want some more, sir?
No, come on, seriously. When she goes, Oliver, where'd you put the candies?
Yes.
Are you saying that the claim is that Oliver is the killer?
Oh, he is. I know.
How do you know?
I know.
Okay.
And that is, again, the irony of this film.
So the killer was in town and not an outsider, like is implied by the first detective or the muscle, the weightlifting cop.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the irony of this whole thing. Jerry,
all along.
At his first stop,
that's terrible.
Brushes. And sorry, if you look at the film, it's there's a very quick shot of Oliver. You see him. She says, "Oliver, where'd you put the X?" And then when she's talking to him and fixing her Christmas cap, there's an interior window into a storeroom behind her, and we glimpse Oliver through that store window.
And who's Oliver? The first guy that shows up in the black wagon at the gas station? No.
I don't know. Jerry's first plan is he gets his gas station and, every fucking black car, he goes out there suspicious. And again, my reading is he's like, this ain't really working. I got to up the ante here. I need a bait. Yeah. So I don't know which black car. Oliver might have been, I forget. You can go through the film again. And
no, it's a guy where he says, about the whole business about, black really it hides the dirt. And then Jerry, he goes, really? And he, it shows the dirt on the finger.
I don't know if that's Oliver there or
me
if
neither.
Somebody else.
I mean, I don't know where Oliver is. To me, it was out of the blue. To me, that whole pop into the house of Christmas blew it. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
What do you mean?
Is he trying to reveal who the killer is?
Wait, is who trying to? What do you mean?
Is Sean Penn trying to reveal that the killer was the employee or son or whatever?
Yes.
Right,
yeah.
but to me that was absurd.
Why?
Because it just came fucking again out of the blue. I'm just like, what?
Well, I think it was not
another surprise.
No, it was mishandled.
Of course, that's what I mean. Yeah,
yes,
it's terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, terrible. Okay, we got to wrap this up, right?
Yeah, and I don't like you ending these podcasts on terrible because again I don't think it's a terrible film. I think
didn't say it's a terrible film.
No, but that aspect is terrible. We said at the beginning this is a flawed film. I think most of our great films are flawed. I don't. Okay.
You mean our great films are
When I say our, I mean yours and mine, Frank, so I'm not including you. So I think this is a great film. I think it rewards rewatching. I think it's a great film to take a first date to because you're going to have a lot to talk about over coffee or dinner afterwards.
To take your little 9-year-old girl to.
Yes.
Here, honey.
But I've enjoyed this one, FT. I do think for the next one we do need to try. We did Crimes and Misdemeanors last episode. If you haven't listened to that one, you might want to go. You should go back and listen to that one because that also delved into some weighty moral issues. But I'd like the next film not to be tied up in moral issues. I'd like to try to find something a little bit lighter and fluffier.
Good luck. Good luck. Right? Okay.
Well, thank you. But FT, it's always a pleasure getting to hang out with you.
Know you.
And thank you for audience always for listening. Please, if you haven't done it already, hit subscribe so you make sure you get every episode. Visit us at theyshootfilms.com. And when I say visit us, I mean FT. He lives at theyshootfilms.com. So you'll see him there. And have a good one, FT.
In a little hut on the ice. You too. Have 2 good ones, man. Don't be cheap. Have 2 good ones, buddy.
They Shoot Films is a production of Film Symposium West. Produced by Anne-Marie De Palma. Studio announcer Roy Blumenfeld.